streaming live from the beautiful city of Hollywood, Florida, USA. This is soFloRadio.com. soFloRadio.com presents CEOmanship, becoming a leader in today's business world, with your host, Steve Gordon, CEO of Gordon Partnership Group, an international business consulting firm specializing in CEO bootcamp, sales team training, as well as client growth and retention. Visit GordonPartnershipGroup.com. Gordon Partnership Group. Your success is our business. And now, here's your host, Steve Gordon.
George!
Steve.
You know,
You're way louder now than you did on that mic check, I just want to say.
well, I'm excited now because now we're actually on air. We are on the air.
Yes, we are, and on fire.
soFlo Radio, soFloTelevision.com. This is your host, Steve Gordon. I should say I am your host, Steve Gordon. This
They're
is
both
the
correct.
CEOmanship radio and television show. George, what's going on, man?
It's another beautiful day. While supplies last, it might rain on us over here. I noticed it rained a little bit.
You know what I
this
noticed? This is now my second full season, as we call it, in Florida, right?
morning. Okay, that's right. I forgot
last
you're a
year-
newbie.
Yeah, well, it's because
You got through the summer. It was hot,
Second
but you
summer.
didn't die.
No,
You know,
it's fine.
that's what I tell people.
So here's the thing, right? So last year, everybody was sick. 'Cause we came to Florida in May, right? So at the end of May, and that was probably the worst time to leave New England. And,
Yeah.
and because it's beautiful
Right.
starting the springtime
Like,
and summer,
right now is the good time to start.
and it was like the worst time to be in Florida. But everyone said, just wait till October, wait till
Right.
October. Around October 15th was like the magic day, right? Well, let me say, it wasn't October 15th this year. It was like October 2nd.
yeah.
I mean,
I think the first was when and talk about a good day for it, like October 1, that was when the front came through and we had all that rain, and those of us who have been here a while know that the rain is ushering the cold.
oh, it's crazy. And, now all of a sudden it goes from like 96, 97 in humidity to like 80, 77 to 82, no humidity. I was out in my backyard this weekend, and I'm at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And where I live, it's pretty dark. I'm surrounded by a national forest, so there's not a lot of light, and then the ocean on the other side of that. So, I'm in my backyard, and I'm just looking up at the stars, and I'm like, this is what we wait for. And then I think I better go shopping really fast, because within a couple of days, all them snowbirds, as they say, are going to be standing in line at the deli department, pushing and shoving. Well, I just want to get, a slice of roast beef or something. You don't even know what
Horrible.
to say.
They're going to be getting. It's because you're getting used to it. But yeah, wonderful breezes. Even this morning, nice warm breezes. But yeah, they're going to start showing up now. The snowbirds, and
All right.
you can't blame them.
No, we
You
can't.
pushing and shoving.
Can't
at the deli,
blame them.
you're right.
Can't send them home fast enough.
Well, tourist dollars are nice, clean dollars. If you're going to have an industry, tourism isn't a bad.
Oh, I've
bad thing
become
to have.
such a jaded Floridian.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
today's show, George, not to
Today's
take
show.
you away, is brought to us by Survey. And so this is that really cool app, and we're getting down to the countdown. You'll be able to download this app pretty soon, but if you are one of our listeners, which you are, because if you weren't, you wouldn't hear this message, then you can go to Survey, SIRVI.com, Survey.com, and just click on the Contact Us button and fill out your information, and we will get you an early copy before it's available to the general public. And so what is this survey, you say?
What
And
is
why
it?
do I want this? Well, I think
me.
it's pretty cool. I will tell you. You know what it is, George? It's the ability to have the ultimate in cool. And as cool as you are, George,
I don't know.
I think this could make you even cooler.
My phone's pretty cool. It's got a bottle opener on it.
Okay, so imagine, right? So think about this. So here you are at the roller rink, because you go to the roller rink, right, George?
Yes, I do all the time. Twice this weekend, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so imagine you're at the roller rink, right? And there you are with your cell phone thinking you're cool because you got a bottle opener. And then
right.
you're like, ooh,
Case of beer.
no bottle. So you take out, right?
That has
There you
happened.
go.
That has actually happened. That's a truth.
So there you go. So you take out your cell phone, which is already in your hand, because you're saying, wow, I got a bottle opener and no bottle.
Would fit really nice on the end of a Guinness right now.
Right. So, okay. So you push the little button on the Survey app, and they go, well, good evening, Mr. Rodriguez. How are you? And you go, good, except one thing. And they say, well, how may we help you? And you say, well, here I am at the roller rink. And do you know anybody that delivers a 6-pack of Guinness?
Yeah.
And
To the roller rink.
To the roller rink. And they say, would you like a pizza with that? And you go, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to say no because I like the roller rink pizza.
They sell pizza here, and can they sneak it in because
We'll have to
they don't allow those
meet
things.
them in the
But
parking lot.
That doesn't stop me.
But maybe that, or maybe you want a dinner reservation somewhere where you can get a nice Guinness after skating. And so they can make that reservation for you so that you can enjoy your time skating and with your daughter. And I know that sometimes you guys are in those competitions where you
Yes, we are.
You are.
We own that place.
I know. And then you get and then you get the glow sticks, right? That's the
Yep.
prize, the glow stick.
Yep.
And I know that your daughter wins quite often.
Well, she usually doesn't play. Actually, she's I don't know above that. But yesterday she played, and yeah, she won a glow stick.
That's awesome. So you go out to celebrate your championship victory with a Guinness that has been at a place that's been reserved for you by your Servy concierge. And so literally you can use that system at no cost to you, and then you can save on things like travel. And imagine if you need medical help or to speak to a doctor, but you don't know or you can't leave. Let's say you didn't feel well right now, and I hope that's not the case.
It's not, no.
And
pretty awesome.
You can't leave the studio because my show needs you. I need you.
Can't. All day I can't leave the studio.
Right, you have
this is a radio thing. This should have been around when during my long radio career. This 12-hour shifts. You can't leave the station.
So, right, you want to make sure. You want to make sure that you have the opportunity to stay at your desk, but get proper medical care. So part of Servy is access to a doctor through your cell phone, through your mobile phone. If you need legal help, if you need reservations,
in radio
travel.
they don't let you go to the doctor even if you're bleeding. They just make you stay.
There you go. So Servy is an amazing product, and for literally less than $1 a day, you could upgrade and have access to a concierge 24/7, 365. And why is that cool? Because I want you to imagine, George, that you are sitting around with a bunch of the friends, and everyone's like talking their game, and you go, "Okay, it's time for George to show game." Right?
Thank you for thinking I have a bunch of friends.
Well, and I'm also thinking you might have game, but I guess I'm wrong in both cases.
Sure.
But let's just pretend, because this is radio, and
That's
in
right.
radio,
Theater of the
you
mind.
have fantasy, right? So in this fantasy, not only
I have
you have
friends.
and you have game, and they all look to you because they go, "We're trying to up each other and do one up," right? And you're like, they're all looking to George because they know George has got game, and they go, "What's good? George has got up his sleeve today." And you take out your mobile phone, you press the Servy app, and you're like, "Hey, Servy, I would love." George just pulled his phone out of my sleeve. Because you got to remember, this is radio. Not everybody can see you. Only the television people.
That's pantomime.
So, so
On the radio.
so you take out your phone, you push the Servy app, and you say, "You know what? We are watching football. It's Sunday, and Miami's playing, and I need a pizza. I need some of those Guinness, a pack of Twizzlers, and something else." And so something popped up on that screen again. I don't know what it is. And
look lordy.
Anyway, with that said, that's Servy, SIRVI.com. Go get it. It's going to be a breakthrough, a game changer. Change your life. Get Servy. Let somebody serve you.
Okay, thank you. I would like that.
There you go. So, talking about weekends and stuff. So, today is a very interesting day. Do you happen to have the lovely Lori's phone number?
I might just.
I could write it down for you real fast if you want me to.
Let me see what I got. It might already be recorded.
Oh,
in
look
here,
at that.
So we can call her. I was wondering when we were going to get to this. I know we have to do
Can you
business
do that?
first.
I'm gonna. I'm just gonna. This is called delaying. I don't want to give her number out over the air.
Yeah, just read it out. No,
So I'm stalling here. You got it?
I don't know, but
It's a.
give me a.
All right, listen. I'm gonna. So let me just tell you what it is. Why I'm telling you this. So today is Lori's birthday, and oops, I'm writing the number down wrong because I can't reach that far. And so I wanted us to just call and wish Lori a happy birthday. And of course, if you're Facebook friends, you can go to that wall and wish Lori happy birthday because that's always. Did you get it?
No.
It's always fun. When I first started Facebook, I was like, whatever. But it's pretty cool when you see all these little happy birthdays. And it's always after your birthday that you realize that you should be wishing everybody else happy birthday. Because even though it seems silly, there's the number right there. I hope you can read my writing. It's not. It's fun. And it's fun when you get it. And then it's fun to have, to celebrate other people, even if they're just Facebook friends. I'm looking at you type that. Yeah, you got it right. Keep going. Two more numbers. There you go.
Hey.
All right. So hopefully Lori will pick up the phone so that we can wish her happy birthday.
Choose a country. Afghanistan. Really?
No, what is that?
Like I've never made a phone call from this.
So
before?
you know what?
I want to wish her happy birthday too. So
I know.
I really want to get this going.
And Lori, George baked you an organic birthday cake, but then we ate it here in the studio.
No, yeah, gluten free.
Gluten free. So, George, could this take any longer? Or
No, we're going to be here all
losing
day.
listeners
It's a good
by
thing
the
you didn't have
minute.
any material today.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, yeah. So it's been fun, and we're celebrating here, and hopefully she'll pick up the phone. Hopefully she's listening.
Let's hope.
There you go. This is called dead air because
Yes, it is. Well, if I knew we were going to be calling, would have queued up some phone calling music.
Oh, well, you had phone calling music for me last week. Is it ringing?
It is ringing.
We don't hear it here.
Lori.
Ah,
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, honey.
Oh, thank you.
I know that you got a lot going on today, and I felt so badly having to come down here and share your birthday with George. But I'll be home, and we'll continue to celebrate. Are you having a good day?
I'm having a busy day. It's a busy one. It's a very busy Monday. I actually just lost you guys, so I'm not watching the show right now, but I'm glad to get a phone call from you live while you're on the air.
We are live on the air, and so I know you got some stuff going on. So I was just about to tell George what you got for your birthday.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I think this is the best birthday gift I've received in probably 49 years.
Well, that's amazing for someone who's 37. Lori, that's really interesting because last year I got you what I thought was the best present up until that point. Do you remember what that was?
Which was a very different gift, Steve. Very different. I think you got me the updated and most cutting-edge version of a mixer.
Well, you loved that. In fact, you put pictures of yourself. You loved it so much, I think you were in your bathrobe when
I
we
was
put
in
the
the
pictures.
bathroom hugging it and
Hugging
crying. I was so excited. It was stainless steel. My old one was plain white. It's the KitchenAid mixer, which, George,
Ooh.
I'd love to use. I love to cook.
I know. George is the recipient
exciting.
of many of that the benefits.
I want to thank you for the really awesome salad and salad dressing. I'm still using that salad dressing, round 2 with that.
Oh, the dogs are going
That's
crazy.
gonna be dinner tonight.
Today.
And Lori, so I'll tell George. Since we moved to Florida, we decided how important it is. Obviously, we love being outdoors, and so we've started to stand up paddleboard.
Oh yeah, fun stuff.
So I got Lori a stand up paddleboard. It's very cool color.
Awesome.
And I'm sure that by the time today is over, it will have been broken in.
I hope I have time. I really hope I have time. The day is getting past me. I have a lot to do today, but I can't wait to get on that paddleboard. I'm so excited. Steve, I don't know if you told George how choked up I was. I was actually eating a salad. I was literally choked up, walking out into the garage, and I said to you, there was just one thing that I wanted. We didn't really talk about it, and it's a paddleboard, but I know we're probably not going to do that right now. And I opened the garage door, and there it was, and I started to choke up my salad and cry at the same time. I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. You guys.
We are
You
such
kids. You
lovebirds,
kids
right?
are so sweet.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, honey, I think that number one, I know it's your birthday, and you need to make time every day, but especially today. No matter what you have going on, just take a half an hour or an hour and go down to the inlet or the ocean, and just make time for yourself because you work so hard to make everybody else happy. And I know that everybody who's part of your life knows that and agrees with that. That I hope that you will just take time to make yourself happy and enjoy that. So anyway, I know you got a lot going on. We just wanted to wish you happy birthday, and of course,
All right.
anybody can.
Well, thank you.
And for our friends who are listening, you can find Lori on Facebook at simply Lori Gordon, and so. You could just write a post on that wall and say "Happy Birthday, Lori" there too. So, all right, honey, I love you. All right,
I'll see
you
you
soon.
Great
Happy
show.
birthday, Lori.
Thanks, George.
You bet.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
See
Bye
you
bye.
soon. Bye.
She sounded really busy, and so next time I'm going to ask her how to peel ginger.
Oh, I can tell you how to peel ginger after the show.
Okay.
Right. So this weekend, have you ever watched the television show? It's called $1 Million Listings.
No.
All right, here's another plug that we're not getting paid for, but you know what? It's a cool show. Although so it's about these real estate agents. There's one in New York. There's another one in Southern California, like the Beverly Hills, Los Angeles area. And the one in $1 Million Listings, LA, they have these 4 young guys, and it's very cutthroat. It's a reality show, and it's fun. I mean, these guys are listing like these, 10, 15, 20, sometimes I think even $30 or $40 million homes. And it's very fun to kind of be a voyeur on the wall, to watch, to walk into these beautiful homes with them. I mean, and of course the show is also about, how they kind of try to snake each other out of deals and, egos, etc. But for the most part, it's a really interesting show. I really enjoy it. So one of the 4 brokers on the show is a young man named Josh Altman. And he wrote a book that just came out this weekend. For those of you watching on TV, you can see that I'm holding up the book. Probably can't see it that well, but we can probably get a picture of it up during the break.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's called It's Your Move. And what I love about this book is that he's very inspirational. He talks about finding your passion, and then, how many people get a job and then they just don't love it, but they go through it 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, just to make enough money so that they can basically enjoy a few hours on the weekends. And that's it. And he talks about the fact that if you're going to go through all that effort of having to go to work every day, then find something that you really love, a passion, and make that your career. So it's not really work. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because, between Lori and I, we've got kids in college, and they're at that point where they're starting to try to figure out what it is they want to do with their lives. And, it's interesting because sometimes as parents, we want to guide our kids, and I know that Lori's going to be laughing now because she's heard me say this a million times. I know that my folks kind of gave me guidance as to what they thought I should do with my life. And although it was a great career for somebody else, it really wasn't my personality or my passion. My degree is in computer science and electrical engineering.
You're right. Yeah, which is impressive.
Great.
But, it's
Hashtag not a geek.
It's not a businessy thingy.
Well, no, you know what? I got out of school. I realized in my junior year, I'm sitting there in like a computer lab with a bunch of other people that really enjoyed sitting around in a computer lab, and would constantly tell me to because they were trying to create something. And in those days, you didn't dare call your parents and go, "Hey, listen, you know what? I'm in my last semester, but I want to change majors." If I called my father and said, "Dad, look, I'm thinking about maybe not graduating on time," my dad would have said, "Great, and think about not coming home." Right? Because the rules were different, and you played by your parents' rules. And unfortunately, so I just finished this degree. And the closest thing I do to programming anymore is like, upgrading my iOS on my new iPhone. I'm like, oh, new app, great. How do I go to the App Store again? I know how to do that. But my point is, so Josh talks a lot about finding something you're really passionate about. Whether, if you're the best gardener, then if you want to be a gardener, then get great gardening gloves and be proud of who you are and be the best gardener. Or if you want to sell real estate or be in radio or whatever, then follow your passion. Because at the end of the day, while he doesn't say these words, being one who is certainly in the second half of my lifetime, I realized that you only get one shot here, so you might as well enjoy it. I haven't met anybody yet that has come back and go, no, really, you're going to come back. I mean, this is my third time around.
Right.
So if that's the case, then you might as well find something that you're passionate about and build something great. So let's talk a little bit today about business and starting a business. Now, I know that if somebody were to go back to CEOmanship.com, and went all the way back in the archives, on our very, very first show, we talked a little bit about the genesis of soFlo Radio and soFlo Television.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do today, sort of maybe to round out the first half of our show, is to talk a little bit about sort of George and your history, because I think it's great for the listeners to kind of get a deeper insight now that we have a far greater listening base. There's a lot of people who might not have gone all the way back in the archives to show
Right.
number one. So let's go back to the beginning. You were in radio,
Right.
and the reason I'm asking all these questions is so that people listening who are thinking about starting a business will understand the passion, the process, what transpired to change your course in your life.
Sure.
And of course, I know the answers to these questions, but
they don't.
So you started out. You were here in Southern Florida. And you were working, was it an AM station?
Yes, it was an AM station.
For those of you who don't remember, AM is something,
Well, it was always an aberration down here. AM used to be the band, and FM came along, and music sounded better on FM, and it was also stereo. So FM became where all of the music stations were eventually, and AM kind of became, talk radio, news, that kind of thing, special interest, foreign language, not so much music. Still for a while there, but the only music, like in modern times, the only music still on AM was in foreign.
Right. Even now, right?
For what it's worth, and that's okay. I loved AM, but what was different about South Florida is that the talk radio scene in South Florida was very big, and our show and our station got numbers that were on par, if not higher, certainly higher in our target demographic of our station, which was men 25-54. We got better ratings than anybody. We were always number one more often than not.
So you say we, but so you started out basically interning, right?
The show I produced, no, I never interned. I got into radio when I was 17, and they started
asked for money,
paying me on day one. Yeah.
If you call that pay.
I went from flipping burgers on Friday to I'm a DJ on Monday, and starting pay. And people go, "How did you do that? Go to a small town." And people go, "No, really," and I go, "No, really. Go to a small town. Walk in off the street. They'll hire you." I mean, but you got to live in a small town, and nobody wants to live in a small town. But yeah, the back to how the business got started. Yeah, I got it ended. The industry ended, and this is something that I think is universal to a lot of people. Or it changed.
Just because you're kind of jumping fast forward.
Okay.
So you start working on a talk radio show.
Right. When I came to Florida, I went from music DJ to talk radio producer.
Okay.
And it was kind of a restart, but I had the experience, so I didn't have to start from square one even here.
And it's okay if you mention the name of the show. You were working with a really big show.
The Neil Rogers Show, the biggest show in South Florida. He was on the air for 30 years in South Florida. I was his producer for the final 19 years of that tenure, and he was number one in that target demographic more often than not. I would say 4 out of 5 times if you add it all up, starting with it's hard to put a date on when the show went from
I'm thinking about when you came
on par with everybody else. Yeah, sure. I made it I'd like to think that I made the show better, but the show was already popular by the time I came on for at least 20 years.
So, okay.
I mean, for at least a couple years before I joined the show.
All right, so you come on board, you are producing, and then as time goes on, you became a co-host, and you got more and more of a personality. I don't mean you got more of a personality yourself. Yeah. You became more of a personality.
Sure, I started substituting. And
you're like the Joan Rivers of
developing, right?
Neil Rogers show.
Yeah, and he eventually got to Johnny Carson status where he was on vacation a lot, including all summer, every summer, and so I had to do the show for the summer, and I did well. I got to say, I got the ratings to prove it. It's documented. I kept the show at number one more often than not. Overall average, the numbers dropped, but I also had a younger demo overall average. Neil was an older gentleman, and I was a more younger family man, typical. So very very proud of the ratings that I got while filling in for Neil.
So sadly, Neil passed away.
Right, not in that order. He was at the end anyway. He was already 64. And he'd wanted out for a while. He wanted a buyout, and the station and he didn't really get along. It was a very contentious relationship from the beginning. They appreciated the numbers, but they really didn't like him personally. And So when the industry started changing, they got a consultant that said, you really need to streamline this radio station. You need to cut the budget. You need to focus on the all sports angle. It was an all sports station with the exception of our show. And when they suggested a buyout and they negotiated one, Neil was very happy to take the buyout, and they were very happy to fire me and cut. We were both making a good amount of money, and they were very happy to not have that budget anymore and focus. It was happening in radio, not all over the country, where people were slashing staff and budget, and the people that got the axe first were the people that were making big paychecks, which meant the talent.
So, right, that's always a clever thing to do, is to fire the talent. But
and they did.
So I digress. But let me now sort of take this to the next level. So here you are.
And then Neil died.
And then Neil passed away.
A year later, after he retired, he didn't even get a chance to enjoy it. Stroke.
That happens. Right?
Yeah, it's sad. So, but what you were saying earlier, enjoy your life now.
That's right. So okay. So here you are, and a lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
So you were in AM radio, which was great if you are sitting stationary in one place within the range of that station.
Yeah.
But how often have you been listening to a great story on a talk show, and you drive to the other side of the highway, and it just goes away?
And it only got worse. I mean, people call me bitter if you will, but it's just a fact that radio broadcasting companies stopped putting the dollars into the maintenance of their AM transmitters like they used to. They stopped taking it as seriously as they used to. So the signal has only ever gotten worse over the years. So even less reception, shorter distance, more interference.
So you now have the opportunity to recreate yourself in any fashion, and you think, okay, do I go on to another station?
I explored that.
You thought about maybe going with an FM station
leaving town. Even
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid. But we were already streaming our show on the internet. It was a suggestion of our webmaster, and he did all the work, and we didn't take that very seriously at first. But then when the feedback started showing up, the letters and the emails from people all over the world that were listening to the show, and management noticed that too. All of a sudden, the audience didn't just doubled, it tripled, because it was accessible on a global scale. And people that had come on vacation and discovered our show were now able to listen when they went back home. People who traveled for a living, the truck drivers and everything, all of a sudden they're listening with their phones.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
When I used to travel to Europe, it used to comfort me sometimes to be able to get online and listen. Those days I lived in the New York metropolitan area,
stations,
and I would listen to maybe a Mets game or a Yankee game or the news. It was fun being in a totally different time zone, 5-6 hours apart, and listening to like rush hour traffic when it was like completely
what we
wrong
didn't
time.
know, what I didn't know, and I can't take credit for this, but our webmaster knew, Eric, rest in peace, also, is that people all over the world were exploring by tuning into radio stations from other cities in the world and listening to the music and the dialogue and getting some insight into what is important in that community or what's going on in that community by listening to the radio of that community. And the local radio, even though it's local in a particular, it has a local flavor that has an appeal to people on the other side of the planet who are curious.
I think that's very, very true.
And it was great. And so it was Eric's suggestion when the radio and there's still to this day no general interest talk station in South Florida, and that's the only place where I could do the kind of show that I was doing. I don't do a sports show and I don't do a politics show, and that's all that was left.
So before we go to break, let's just give you a shameless plug. George, you do have your own show, even though this is your station.
It all started with that.
And you are on the air Fridays from 12 to 3.
Yes.
Here on SoFlo Radio and SoFloTelevision.com.
Yes. And the flagship show, the one that started it all.
It is, and I'm glad you did. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to start a business, some of the ideas you had.
And how not to.
And maybe some pitfalls to avoid. Don't go away. I'm Steve Gordon with Jorge Rodriguez on SoFlo Television and SoFloRadio.com.
More CEOmanship with Steve Gordon next on SoFloRadio.com.
Hi, Hi, this is Zaina Dagaya, and I'd love to share with you about my good friend Nicole of Legit Fitness in-home training and yoga. She's a certified yoga teacher, and she's an amazing and experienced trainer that can design a program to fit your specific needs and goals. She's so cool. She's super committed to making fitness and health fun and accessible for everyone. Plus, your first week is free as a new client. Here's how you set up your first session. Either call 305-335-5590 or visit www.getlegitfit.com. GETLEGITFIT. Getlegitfit.com. 305-335-5590. Do it now!
Here's the latest ratings you asked for.
What is this? Where did all our listeners go?
SoFloRadio.com.
SoFlo, what channel is that on?
It's online, sir. It's Wi-Fi radio.
Oh, I see.
But what channel is it on?
Put your business on the leading edge of media advertising with the soFloRadio.com network. Unlike antiquated AM or FM radio, your professionally produced 30 or 60-second ad will be heard live on soFloRadio.com during the day and will be downloaded thousands of times a day on soFloRadio.com, as well as being heard on our free podcasts on iTunes. Wi-Fi radio and Bluetooth are now available with BMW, Ford, GM Cars and Trucks. Don't get left behind. Contact soFloRadio.com for details and our very affordable rates. soFloRadio.com. Stay ahead of the game.
Now, back to CEOmanship with Steve Gordon on soFloRadio.com.
Once again, we are back, George
Yes, we are.
Rodriguez. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in from all over the globe because we are streaming
Everywhere.
live. You know what's really
You'd be
cool?
amazed.
Sometimes I look at the global demographics,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Africa,
Yeah.
Russia. I mean,
Seychelles
crazy places.
Islands. That was the one when I caught that I had regular listeners, like 2 or 3 in the Seychelles Islands, and I'm like, I had to look it
Isn't
up.
that awesome?
It's in the Indian Ocean. Like,
Love that.
yeah.
Well, congratulations. Good for you. All right, so here we are. Now you're transitioning. You're deciding what to do. You start your business.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't decide what to do, which is why I wanted to say, have a plan. And I'm sure is on the list of things that that you might want to have when you start a business.
It's one of them. Yeah.
Is have a have a plan, because I didn't understand that I thought it was going to be temporary. Our webmaster said, "Why don't you do your show on the internet temporarily until one of these stations changes format and you can get back on regular radio?" And I said, "Okay," and I put a studio together that emulated what I was used to in radio. I didn't know anything about podcasting or being an internet broadcaster or anything, so I put a studio together. Took about a month to get it to sound like what I thought was radio, good radio. And once I achieved that, and that was not easy. And I'm not an engineer, but I had to learn how to do that. Once I achieved that, other former radio people who were still in the same situation had gotten fired before me. Like, I had the last good radio job. They're like, "Hey, can you teach me how to do that?" And this is lesson number 1. Start charging money right away.
Lesson.
At that point, that's when I should have recognized that I'm sitting on a business here and that I ought to be treating it as a business. But instead, I started an internet radio station, and I helped everyone get their radio show going. And the station grew in terms of audience and popularity and numbers of shows, but I still wasn't treating it like a business.
Right.
And basically, friends who do have some business savvy, they basically did an intervention with me and said that you need to start deciding what the value of this service is, put $1 per time, and smack me around a little bit, really, before I started doing the things that I should have been doing from day one, even before day one, day -10 maybe. This is where you come in.
Yeah,
and
that's actually a really good a good point, and you and I have talked about that before. You essentially took what was a great idea, and instead of charging for it, you just gave it away, and not only gave it away to create competition.
Yes, I created competition. I set people up in a business for free, a business that competes against my business.
That's right.
And I didn't even know that that's what I was doing because I was taken advantage of. Other people with more business sense than I have, they did realize that I was doing that. I had a business here, and they were gonna copy me.
And
I was gonna help them.
So going back now, if we could rewind the clock, here's a couple of things that I would recommend. The first is, you need to do a little bit of a self-inventory, a personal check, because the reality is a lot of people have great ideas, but not everybody is cut out to be a business owner. And so sometimes you need to just say to yourself, I got a great idea, maybe try to partner with somebody or sell your idea, but you need to know that there's going to be some potentially turbulent times ahead, and everything isn't rosy all the time when you're starting a business. I mean, the day you started the station, it wasn't running as smoothly as it is now. You didn't have employee. I saw you writing paychecks today for
writing
employees.
Payroll checks. That's right.
Look at you, George.
I know.
All right, pretty good. So the first thing is you want to find an idea. All right, so you've got this idea, and just because something is sort of like, for lack of a better term, in vogue, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the great business idea. What was great about what you did is you saw the writing on the wall. You saw things like, okay, people aren't listening to the radio as much on air. A lot of commercials. People don't love that. People want continuity. When I first got, I hate to use the term satellite radio, but when I first got satellite radio,
sure.
I used to drive a lot. I was in my car a ton. And sometimes I'd be driving, say, from maybe Boston back to New York. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was leaving a meeting. I didn't get home till 2 or 3 in the morning, probably 3. And I loved the idea that I could put on like a talk show, something that kept my mind stimulated while I was driving. And I could listen to the same show for 4 hours, whether I was in Massachusetts, Connecticut, or back in New York. And so the idea of having continuity is great. The idea of so you saw that. And then you said, let's take it one step further. Why do we need these, gazillion-dollar satellites in the sky that can go down or subject to solar flares?
It was a great idea at the time, but even satellite radio didn't predict the internet and the convenience of it. Their programming is also on the internet now, and they are not going to be launching any more satellites or maintaining what they have. When those things break and go off, that's that for satellite radio, because they've already got a redundant delivery method, and so does conventional radio.
Well, the interesting thing is, my initial response to you was going to be that when I do listen to satellite radio, it's either in my car sometimes or on my cell phone.
Sure.
So I listen through a mobile app. But what's interesting is that more and more, I'm not listening to satellite radio anymore in my car, even though I have it there, and I actually bought a lifetime subscription when that company came out in the beginning. And I am streaming through my Bluetooth from my cell phone, and I'm listening to stations and music that I am personally selecting, and I can get all the talk shows I want, and I can listen to soFlo Radio.
On demand, even. Yeah.
So you saw the writing on the wall, and that was good. So you had this idea, and then the next thing is to sort of, is it plausible? Is it something that's going to sustain? And is it something that people are going to really do and listen to? And, what's interesting is when you started your business, people were streaming, but nobody was really getting it, Plus,
it was still relatively new. So there's always an age line, like a demographic border, I call it, where to the right of that age is the conventional audience, because they're creatures of habit, and to the left of that are the kids, the newfangled things who decidedly avoid doing things the old-fashioned way because of their attitude. We know better. Those of us who are parents, we know that they don't know better, but they think they know better, so they're always going to do the
I hope my kids are all listening
newfangled things. That's what the dad says it all the time. Anyway.
So it's good. So
yeah.
I
I knew I knew that there would come a day when this geographically limited, expensive delivery method would be cost inefficient, and that everyone would be using the efficient global digital quality delivery method that is much more affordable.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you is right. So the next thing is you want to write a business plan. And I know that's not something you did.
I didn't.
Your business plan was...
But you should, boy.
You know, look, there's a lot of reasons you want a business plan. And first of all, you might want to present your business concept to
business
investors.
person? Okay.
Well, to an investor, right? And
Right.
those people are going to take you much more seriously if you have a business plan. So you want to include things like a mission statement, right? And by the way, if you don't have a mission statement, George, I won't ask you if you do, but if you don't, it's not too late to create one.
Right.
Right? Because it's something to live by, and it shouldn't just be like, about money. Like, it should be something that's really why you're in this, right? From the heart. You want to have a company summary, an executive summary. You want to talk about what is it that this product or service delivers to the general public, right? Because somebody looking at this is going to try to understand why. Who's your target market? Maybe what are your financial projections? I know that when we started this show close to a year ago, there really weren't any financial projections.
No.
And I know that a lot's changed. I know you have a lot of new
we
shows.
have new shows, have a budget, have the time per dollar ratio worked out. I know what I need to be charging in order to stay in the black, etc.
Good.
I have thresholds, deadlines, all of these wonderful things.
I feel like a proud parent because
Well, you
I've
ought
watched
to.
you grow in the
Yeah.
last year. And I'm proud of you, George.
Yeah.
And I don't say that. I mean, I was making fun of you when I said that, but I'm not making fun of you because it's great to show that anybody, wherever you are in your business, you can restart, course correct.
Absolutely. And even because I've got words of encouragement from you and other people who are already successful business people, and they say, look, even if you have the plan and everything, you're going to be tweaking, you're going to be making adjustments. So from the very beginning, you're going to realize that there were mistakes in your plan, and you're going to be correcting and adjusting. So don't feel bad that you're changing the system so much from the time you started.
I like to use the term course correction.
Okay,
And
yes.
if you're not course correcting, you're probably going to be left
Right.
behind. And the reason is because the market constantly changes. So the first thing you want to do is, once you have your idea, you need to identify who your market is. Now, interestingly enough, when you started this project several years ago, it might have been a younger demographic because those were the people with
Correct.
the laptops
Correct.
and on their computers. But today,
Tell me who you know that doesn't have internet. Even think of the older people. Because
George, my dad, 85
Yeah.
years old. I pick him up last night. He spent the weekend in New Orleans for a birthday celebration, not Lori's. And I pick him up last night at Fort Lauderdale Airport at like 10 o'clock at night. Okay, my dad doesn't stay until 10. He's 85 years old. There's a reason for this. All right. By the time we get home, it's like midnight. You'd think Dad's pretty tired. This morning, at like 8-something, Lori gets a text message wishing her happy birthday from my father. So when you say, who do you know that doesn't have internet
Nobody.
service or cell phone service?
Nobody.
Everybody. Maybe the kids were the early adapters.
my mom's in an old folks' home. They have Wi-Fi. They're a hotspot. They're
They're a hotspot?
Yeah, it's hot. It's hot in there.
South Florida. You
Oh
never know.
yeah, boy. Woohoo! Yeah, around 5 o'clock. That's when the band comes out.
That's right.
Sure. So it's not, and when I started this, I used to have to explain to people how to listen. And now they say, I have an internet radio station. They go, I use Wonder Radio. You're on Wonder Radio. I go, absolutely. Any radio
Right, you're
app.
on TuneIn.
TuneIn, Receiva, uTunes, any radio streaming app that streams any radio station.
So if somebody wanted to use one of those apps,
it's
by the
nothing.
way-
I don't explain it to them anymore. You look, just any radio app like TuneIn is a good
Right.
one because they list our schedule when it's correct, when they're correct.
I noticed, by the way, that my show is not on the TuneIn
Wonder
lineup.
Radio. I'm going to fix their.
That's
I'm
why
gonna
George
fix
said
that wagon. Wonder Radio is also very popular.
So somebody just types in SoFlo
iTunes.
Radio.
Yeah,
and
SoFlo
boom,
Radio. If they
SoFlo.
live in this community, they could search local radio stations. We're right there, listed right next to Power 96 and Y100, and it's
Who are
not
those
even
stations?
the hoochie coochie music, 12-year-old girls, that kind of thing.
There you go. So you've identified your market.
Yeah.
The next thing we want to do is, if we're going to build this business out, is to identify the costs associating not only with building it, but with running it.
Right.
And that sometimes takes time because you don't recognize there are things that will blindside you.
Sure.
It's sort of like being a homeowner and your hot water heater breaks. You got to be
Right, There's
prepared.
a million little things that you never thought of before. Postage stamps and letters, and even in today's digital age, you still have to push
send
paper
once in a while.
Yeah, write a check.
All right, so you determine your costs. You create a budget, right? It's important, obviously, to not only understand, because you don't want to be pulling out of your own pocket every time. I'm not saying that you won't. And so sometimes you might need an investor. Sometimes that investor could be you yourself reaching into a savings or a credit card or a loan or a grant. I mean, look, the SBA sometimes gives out grants and loans to new businesses, minority businesses, small businesses. So you should explore those opportunities. I mean, today all you got to do is get online and just search, small business loans, government grants for small business, startups, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not a big believer in reaching out to family,
Right.
because they can be brutal. And,
Sure.
And it's your business, but sometimes that's where the money has to come from if you need it. Otherwise, be prepared to be able to run your business for months, and also be prepared, by the way, to be the last person to take a paycheck. I've watched a lot of people start businesses, and then they pay themselves first, and then they wonder why there's no money. Well, you know what? Can't do that. Right? You got to be prepared to be the last person on the totem pole, so to say. The other thing that I've seen in terms of mistakes, if we want to use that term, is that people forget, because you're a small business or a home business or just you have a little tiny office in one of these rent-a-suites, and you don't really think of yourself as like a brick and mortar or a real business, but you're a business, and that means that you will have tax obligations.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar, I would say it's a good time to talk to an accountant and let him or her at least make sure that you're properly registered as a business, that you're paying, if you're paying payroll taxes, then you also have to pay things like Social Security tax, et cetera. So make sure that you're compliant with all those things, or you might get, a letter in the mail at some point saying we
Sure.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have an accountant.
All right, good. I was looking at you. I'm thinking maybe I should stop.
No.
I'm just kidding.
And thank God for him, because I wouldn't have known what to do about
Most
any
of
that
us
stuff.
wouldn't.
Right.
Look, there are certain things that you might want to skimp on, but I think professional advice in a
Sure.
business arena is not one of them.
Right.
I know Uncle Joe kind of knows how to do math, and he claims to be an accountant because he does his, 1040 EZ by himself. Mm-hmm. Don't ask Uncle Joe about, the complications of payroll tax, or, are you a Florida corporation, or did you incorporate somewhere else, et cetera. So, that's not the place to skimp. All right.
No, I have a good accountant. He was instrumental in the intervention, because he doesn't just have an accounting business. He runs businesses on behalf of other people that pay him to do so, because they want to be out on their yacht.
Nice. Well, this is South Florida.
Yeah, and, so he's the one that grabbed me by the lapels and shook me a little bit and said, "You got to take this thing seriously. You're not playing.
You're not
playing a game here."
And I still believe, because we've had conversations, I believe that there is far greater potential for SoFlo Radio and television
Sure.
than we've even tapped here right now.
I agree with you, and I know what elements are still missing, including like a really savvy business person, because I've noticed a pattern in my life observing things, and that is the people that you can be really good at making your product, but if you don't have someone that is equally good at selling and marketing that product, you're only going to be firing on half the cylinders.
Look, sales and marketing are completely different, and I know firsthand because.
But the bottom line is somebody needs to take that quality product that you made and present it and sell it and get people excited about it.
No question about it.
And usually the craftsman that is making that product either doesn't have that talent or they're too busy making the product to
all the
deal with
above.
that, right?
And so again, I am living proof because I am, as I always refer to, as sales, and yet I am married to marketing. And what's funny is
you're lucky on a variety of levels. I was going to say,
yeah, more than lucky.
Green with envy over here.
Well,
I'm just seething.
I'm sorry.
My eyes are green.
So here's the thing. We'll have these conversations, and I'll be like, Lori, if this goes this way and that goes this way, and this many units get sold, and that can turn into this amount of profit, and it's going to be awesome. And she'll be like, okay, how do you propose to actually get the word out? And I'm like, you?
Yeah.
Right. In other words, so I can't be bothered. I'm too type A. It's not that I can't be bothered. I'm just not good at it. I'm not that creative. And yet, if you were to turn around and have the opposite side of the conversation, Lori would tell you, I don't want to be the person making those presentations every single day. Same presentation, that kind of stuff bores a creative person. So, surround yourself with good people. Here's the other thing. You don't need an office. Like when you first start, don't pay rent. If you have nothing coming in,
right.
Who are you trying to impress? This is the digital age. You can make yourself appear far bigger than you really are when you're first starting. You get a great online presence, social marketing, and media presence.
We started in my man cave apartment. That's where the original studio was.
Well, you know what? That was smart.
But, I am trying to impress somebody. Some of our hosts bring some big names into their show, and having limos pull up in the gravel lot where the man cave used to be is it was only funny to some people, but celebrities and people of note and captains of industry would show up to be guests on people's radio shows, and they really do want to. This is a nice place. Now, Hollywood Boulevard,
it's a great place.
Limos up and down it all the time. It's not an unusual thing. People don't step out of their limo going wondering, where did you bring me? Is this a kidnapping? What's going on here?
That's funny. I was just thinking about, we're talking about being flexible. I know that I came to you about a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, and I said to you that the folks at Survey said, we would like to maybe stream your show through our app. And, one of their apps, their initial product, has over 9 million users already in a very short amount of time. And that's huge numbers for my show and huge numbers for the station. I mean, talk about a game changer. People all over the place should have an opportunity to listen first to this show. And then if that goes well, you might be able to negotiate something.
Right.
With them, I don't know. I'm talking, and maybe I shouldn't have said that, but no, it's all right.
Open to talk.
And maybe that the station streams, through, or maybe just certain shows.
Sure.
I don't know. But anyway, so talk about being flexible. The other thing is, I remember when I started one of my businesses, one of my very, very good friends. In fact, both he and his wife were in my wedding party. They're such good friends. Many, many years later, he said to me early on, you need to let everybody know you're in this business because someday they'll all want to be your customer and you want to make sure they call you. And I thought to myself, that is so ridiculous. I'm supposed to just kind of shout from the mountaintops. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I gave everybody my business card. I spoke to people. I told people wherever I went. And years later, I would get phone calls and people would go, I met you a while back and I heard about your company just the other day again. It's been a long, long time. And I thought, I wonder if I have that guy's number. Are you still with that business? And I was, yes. And I did get customers.
Excellent.
And generated revenue from that. So do share your ideas with friends, with family. You don't have to, for lack of a better term, throw up on people. You don't want to just constantly be that person that nobody wants to talk to at the party. But when the time is right, just a good 30-second commercial is always great. I mean, in your case, you might just, somebody says, what do you do? And you say, well, I own.
That's why I wear this hat.
Right. You say, I own a radio and television station. Sure. And I'm constantly looking for new talent that might want to have a show.
Sure.
That's all you got to say.
They bring it up. I say I have an internet broadcasting company, which is absolutely what we are. soFlo Radio Incorporated, internet radio, television. soFloTelevision.com. We produce audio video shows. It's just radio show themed anymore.
Right.
There isn't anybody that doesn't have that doesn't video their show live and put it on YouTube anyway. That's another new thing that is very non-radio. It's a hybrid anymore. They're really, there's no distinction. It's just an audio video
People
show.
like their visual. They like to watch.
Sure. But I say I'm internet broadcasting, and their eyes light up, and they're immediately, how can I get involved? What does it take to be on there?
There you go.
And now the neat thing is that it's very accessible. Radio was not, and I know from other people, and I know from my own experiences when I approached radio to see about brokering and buying my way onto radio, and I had the sponsors. I had folder full of sponsors ready to commit, but what I got from radio was very unacceptable. It was if you're the person with the money, you expect a certain attitude of gratitude from the people that that are on the receiving end of your money, and me with my folder full of sponsors and my book of ratings could not command any respect. So I can only imagine what a layperson is experiencing when they go to a radio station. And I know because
they have to go to a small town.
They point them to an empty room and say $500 an hour on a Sunday afternoon when the ratings aren't even measured, and have a good time. No help, no guidance, no interaction, really. Just basically you're renting a room and a spot on the dial. And good luck to you.
Thank goodness for you, George.
Yeah, well, that's one of our trade lines. soFlo, we're winning by elimination. Whereas radio isn't interested in radio anymore. Radio isn't interested in producing good shows.
Well, we've had that conversation on more than one occasion about the fact that it's just they're going to tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, adios amigo.
That's if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
So, a couple more things here. You're going to run into people that will tell you you're crazy. Oh, that'll never work. Who would want to listen to radio on the internet when I have radio on a radio?
On tape. We got them on tape. It's part of our imaging. We play them as sound bites as people saying, whoever, you're crazy. Whoever heard of making money on internet radio?
Right. Yeah. Tell that to Mark Zuckerberg or the YouTube or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But so ignore the naysayers. If you're passionate about what you are doing and you believe in it, then go for it and just keep going. But at some point, by the way, if your project is not becoming profitable, there is a time when you have to sort of just walk away. You have to wash your hands because at some point you don't want to keep throwing good money after bad. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's time to fold. And
how do you know?
I think you get to a point where you're running out of money and you're.
Well, I got to that point a long time ago, but I didn't stop. So
right, well, you didn't get to the very, very bottom. You might have gotten close, but now look, you hung in there. So there's that sort of middle ground where you've got something good. You just got to get to the right point. You did, right? And so now you're like on a bungee cord that just kind of almost got to the bottom, but it didn't snap.
Right.
And now you're coming back up.
Yep.
And, when I look at the lineup today, when I go to soFloRadio.com and I look at the weekly lineup and the number of shows as compared to when I even started my show.
There's 18 shows. We started with 4.
Right. And we have, by the way, have plenty of room on this station for new shows. So if you are interested in a show, and you don't have to live in South Florida, there are people who sort of...
there it is, sure.
Wait, but you have some shows that come in...
We do.
So somebody could be in another area and still be part of
someone
your network.
Could. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be SoFlo themed because we can do any kind of a theme here. That just happens to be the commonality for these shows. But station creation is one of the things. That's why I describe it as an internet broadcasting company. That owns an internet radio station, but we create stations all the time for other people.
You're going to bump into people who tell you you're crazy. Don't get angry. You're going to bump into people who don't like your ideas. Don't get angry.
I won't get angry.
It's not good. You want to deliver quickly, over deliver, under promise, be on time, be patient, blog, Get your name out there as often as you
That
can.
sounds like a lot of work, man.
It's not.
Okay.
We can talk about blogging on another show. Maybe we'll
Okay.
bring in a professional blogger. You know what? Let's wrap it right there.
Okay. I even have a blogging song we can play on that song.
Well, then when we come back
Yeah.
in a future show and talk about blogging, you can play the blogging show. George,
Steve?
every Monday, this time goes by so quickly. I can't believe it. It's another Monday, another show,
sir.
another hour. Thank you to every one of you from all over the world, listening, watching, sharing with your friends. Please, it would make me so happy if you love this show to share it on your social media, to tell your friends, to go to CEOmanship.com and leave a comment.
Yeah, man.
You know, I would enjoy hearing your comments. If there's a show topic that you're interested in hearing, please, send us a message.
Heckle him. He loves it.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time since we had those call-ins, unlike some other shows. Anyway, George, thanks a lot. I'll
Thank
see
you,
you
Steve.
next Monday. Lori, happy birthday. I'm Steve Gordon. This is CEOmanship on SoFlo Television and soFloRadio.com.
From high atop 1926 Hollywood Boulevard, you're listening to soFloRadio.com.